Long time no see, as usual. Although we saw each other at the beginning of the week, and we had this, I hope, interesting experience with Pink Floyd The Wall. As with Brave New World, dystopian literature, movies like Pink Floyd, you may like it, you may not like it, but don't tell me that it's not challenging and not interesting and not good for critical thinking skills and language skills, because it is very interesting. So, we're going to continue that work. Is tomorrow? No, tomorrow. Tomorrow you're going to relax, I hope. No?
No, we have
no one relaxes on the weekend. I don't either. I have university. So on Monday is day 5. We have 2 classes. Am I correct?
Yes.
On day 5. Those 2, yeah. One is going to be TOEFL, where we're going to focus on listening skills. Because it's time. I need to go, change around, and now it's listening time. And the last hour, we're going to keep on watching The Wall as a guided watch. And then we'll talk about the task for next week. Ms. Calderon, nice to see you today. Okay? With Brave New World, today was the deadline. And you know that I'm counting on your responsibility, but I'm treating you as university girls. It's up to you if you did it or not. I'm not going to be the world controller, Mom. I'm not going to control you. But as I said before, with the research that I'm doing at the university with Mr. East, the girls that do end up learning a lot. The girls that don't, not my fault. Really. Usually I don't like to wash my hands, but I think I've been offering the possibilities. So it really depends on active students. Are you active students?
Yeah.
Not that you? Active student or no? You're an active tired student right now. Okay, I'm an active tired teacher too. Oh my God, what a strange day today, no? I don't, is it the genes? Oh, if you could call this genes or something like that. But it's in the atmosphere, no?
Yeah.
Like everyone, like drones, like Brave New World, drones. Okay, let's get serious. I prepared, you have this week, you were asking me about the post. Don't worry, Mr. E sometimes has those problems.
Sorry, I was going to post it.
So remember, everyone should be going on their second post. The first post was chapters 1 to 10. The second post is the rest of the book. You have this week and still next week to do the following. First finish, if you haven't finished the book, finish. But today we're going to have spoilers. I repeat, not my fault. You were supposed to have finished today. And let me just show you what I have for you here. And then I want you, we're going to watch 2 videos today before the discussion. We're going to have a group discussion on some of the themes of Brave New World. And only watch 2 short videos, but I think there are like 6 videos to see. But I would like you to do that at home. And then send me a final post of Brave New World about all your, your views on the different themes. Not like if you like the book or not, but simply reflecting on the issues of the book.
So there are 2 posts. One about...
No, one.
The same?
Yeah, everything in one post. Now you can send all the posts you want.
Yes, of course.
But one post only. And you have this week, next week. So, Amores, the first one says, can you see from the back there? I'm blind, I can't, oh my God. Now that you've finished the book, watch these 4 videos that summarize plot and basic ideas of the story. In 1 second, I'm going to click on them. It takes us to a page from previous years, and there are 4 videos. We're going to watch 2 of them. Then, Brave New World summary by Shmuel. I discovered another video, another kind of video. It's called Top 10 Notes. It has, for many books, it's called Top 10 Notes. Very interesting. I found some for Animal Farm, 1984, for Brave New World. It's like the 10 things you should know after reading Brave New World. Interesting. Then, this video is a little controversial about the scientific dictatorship. It's interesting. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't think so. And Aldous Huxley was scary. Maybe you've consulted a little. I think quite different than Orwell. Orwell had good intentions, I think, to warn us, really. In my opinion, but it's up to you to maybe discover that Huxley, I don't know if he had good intentions. He was arrogant. I think he felt an alpha plus intellectual, really. And he believed in that. So I don't know if his intentions were that good. And there's an interesting short video called Aldous Huxley, Doors of Perception. So check that material out. Again, it's up to you to do it or not. Go beyond, but it's very interesting. Then I discovered this morning. It's very interesting. Brave New World, the objects and places. Let's face it, most of you probably think that from a literary point of view, it's not that great, the book, and you're right. He sucks as a writer, really, if you think about it. I think Orwell is much better in the writing. As a writer, you can criticize him, but you really cannot criticize it. It's interesting, and it's kind of like scary in 1932, thinking about all these things. So academically speaking, quite interesting. And maybe what makes it interesting is all this creativity about all this technology and the objects. I discovered, but it's very confusing. I'm sure you have problems. Did you have problems with chapter 16 and 17?
Yeah.
The philosophical, but interesting. Some people may say those were the worst chapters, but the people that are into philosophy would say are the best chapters. No? So I love those chapters, but they're very dense.
Was really confusing.
I like those chapters.
They were very
but
interesting.
The last one I didn't.
Of course. No, the endings of dystopian literature are the most disappointing endings in the world. Yes, it is. It is, definitely, no doubt about that. Anyway, checking this, look, it explains what the things are. Bokanovsky's process. Yes, everyone kind of like knows that. Soma, orgy-porgy, violent passion, surrogate. You know what surrogate is? It's a substitute. Since they were only happy all the time, at least once a month they had to go and have this surrogate. So they felt rage and anger for a little while, and then after that they were okay for the month. Crazy. Hypnopedia, the Feelies. What were the Feelies?
The movies.
The movies that were kind of like interactive and for the senses, and of course sexually oriented. Of course.
When they showed the children.
Huh? The children what?
In the quizzes of the Brave World, there was a term that was like 936 or something like that, a number. 600.
After 4.
It was
It was the year because before.
He said
It's like a symbolism of
It's like
replacement
before
of Jesus.
Christ, but
Now it's after 4, because 4 is the God now. Okay, it's very interesting, and I think they explained it here too. Attention, hormone chewing gum. I've read the book 3 times. Of course, I didn't reread it again this time, but I checked it. I schmooped it after reading it, of course, logical. I don't remember the hormone chewing gum. Do you remember? You have all these details fresh. I don't really. The Savage Reservation, of course, and it's interesting. Everything is symbolic. It's called Malpais. It has a reason. Everything has a reason. No? Crematorium is solidary service, Central London Hatching.
Yes, so because
Soma holiday, hospital for the dying. Anyway, here it is. But it's kind of like disorganized. I uploaded here, and it got disorganized. So that's why, I don't know if you can have your cell phones with you. I sent you both documents. I sent you this presentation, and I sent you this one, and I think it's much more organized to read. It's up to you, but this will probably solve many of your doubts that you have related to those objects, okay? And if you keep on going down, I even have a summary taken from Shmoop, chapters 11 to 18, and all that. Okay, but that's up to you to do at home. Should we watch these 2 videos before we go to discussion? So I'm going to click here, and let's pray that technology works. Technology works.
yes, it's working fine.
Everything is great now. And I bought the computer. Okay, so it's my finally, I have a good computer. About time, no? And guess what? I have my platonic love. Sorry. And do you remember Thug Notes? Right now, we had an interesting discussion at 11A. We're going to have it right now too. If you remember, Thug Notes can be a little controversial due to some language. Remember, you know, yo, and he uses a few words maybe, but let's watch it first, and then I'm going to ask you from a pedagogical point of view if you find this valid, or you think that a teacher should not show this. That will be our first moment of discussion, okay? So, first let's watch it. Should I put in YouTube? Like YouTube, no?
What it do, yo? This here your boy Doc Sweets, and today we getting savage with Brave New World by Artist Hudson.
Is it too loud?
It's the year 632 a.m., and most of civilization is part of one hood called the world state. Up in here, technology making it so that humans pop off assembly lines and be brainwashed to value nothing but what the government tells them. Constant happiness, consumption, and banging group orgies. Woo! Wait, and if you still ain't feeling fly, just throw back a little Soma and you get so iced out that you ain't got no words. So some high-class pusher named Bernard Marx started thinking that unlike the rest of them Soma slamming zombies, he's a trail-ass individual who curious about what life on the outside be like. So Bernard hollers at some choice honey named Lenina and asks if she want to roll with him to the Savage Reservation where peeps be living old school. Lenina hollered back, but she acting suspicious about this player since he don't like to pop pills and get dirty like she do. When Bernard and Lenina land at the Savage Reservation, they peep some gnarly beezy named Linda and her boy John, who be called the Savage. Even though John and Linda been living a low life, Linda schooled John on how to read, making him a top-shelf savage. After Bernard takes John back to London, John admits to Lenina that he got mad love for her. But this hoochie can't even understand what that means. Instead, she gets butt-ass naked and try to get freaky with her. But my boy John wants something with meaning. So instead of tapping that ass, he pimp slaps her and sends her ass packing. Then John's mama wakes the big one up in the hospital, and John completely loses his shit. So the 5-0 bust in and sling him and Bernard in front of some big bird player named Mustafa Marn. Marn exiles Bernard, but makes John stay, because he wants the experiment to go on. Fed up with the system, John secludes himself in a lighthouse, when one day some snitch gets all up in his business and peeps John whipping himself, making him a media sensation. Later, when a big-ass crowd forms outside his crib with Lenina in tow, John calls her escape and starts laying a whoop on her. Everybody gets so riled up at the sight that they start popping Soma, screaming orgy porgy, and getting their freak on. Even Johnny Boy joins in. Next day, John wakes up and realizes there ain't nothing he can do to fight the civilized world he's imprisoned in. So our boy takes the only escape left and hangs himself. Ugh. Welcome to the brave new world, son. If you want to roll with the World State crew, you gotta drop your beliefs and adopt a whole new jam called Fordism. Instead of giving up worldly possessions for a heaven in the sky, get ready for a Soma-soaked paradise now. All you gotta do is take all that art, science, history, and religion and kiss it goodbye, playboy. My man Karl Marx once said that religion is the opiate of the masses. But Huxley gone and flipped that idea on his head and made opium, aka Soma, the people's religion. And this shit right here is so dank that it also offers hope, consolation, and reassurance. Just like religion, self-doubt, because you ain't even gotta do nothing. Just like Mustafa Marx said, Soma is Christianity without tears. Now open up your ears and soak this game up, B. In a place like the World State, where the motto is community, identity, and stability, there ain't nothing more dangerous than a G-flying solo. Because when you're on your own, you ain't got nobody to put your strongest emotions in check. With all your love directed at only one thing, you end up unstable, miserable, and wanting to take yourself out of the game for good. Know what I mean? That's why the World State throwing all those swanky sex parties, so you can get all that excess emotion out on the red. Don't believe me? Just look how unstable Johnny Boy be when he on the reservation. He even shrinks one of his mama's lovers. And it don't get no better in the civilized world. When Lenina's standing butt naked in front of him, he roughs her up, calls her a hoe, and threatens to waste her ass. Maybe there's a good reason they call him the savage. And with all that excessive emotion building up, it's no wonder that this fool ices himself. Looks like Mustafa Marn's experiment went exactly as he expected. Hey, thanks for keeping it real with Thug Notes. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you next week, player.
Okay. Controversial. I want to listen to it. What say you as a pedagogical tool?
Stop.
What do I do? Like that? Okay. Seriously, your position towards pedagogical tools like that?
I think that is really good.
Attention.
I
It's
think
really
that's-
good.
Yes, I think that's
But
really good.
isn't it vulgar?
No, because I think it's because it's kind of in our language, so we understand everything.
So you can relate to it.
Yes.
So you don't find it like
No, I don't find it vulgar.
disrespectful?
No, no.
Okay, interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think that it might be vulgar, but we are used to these things. So I believe that it's a pedagogical tool. While you use it with like the older people at school, because I think that it's appropriate for us since we don't get affected towards it.
As long as it's guided. Yeah,
Yes.
not like,
And maybe you show these to
no.
sixth graders or
No.
stuff like that, it would be terrible.
10th and 11th grade and university, of course. Sure, at the level of 6, they would not understand what I'm doing, and it would be very vulgar. True. Good point. 2.
Me, I think that the video is like Lopez said, like very good because it is in our language and it is not a boring video that it's only talking and talking and like.
Which are valid too.
Yes, but there's a little boring, like for me.
Mhm.
So this is like entertaining and it could be a little vulgar, but I think it's necessary to understand the topic.
Sure.
And I think it's a good video because we learn and we analyze. We have a different point of view of the book.
It works if you read it.
Yes.
And then you see this, and I don't know if you noticed, but the summary is really good.
Yes, yes.
And the analysis is very good, and with humor. So why not not everything intellectual, because it's an intellectual activity, has to be rigorous, like so stiffy. Although yes, those kind of activities are good too. But not everything has to be like that. At least that's what I think
And it
as
is
a teacher.
entertainment for us, so I think.
Okay, interesting. Number 3.
I think that he's very clear and he says like the things the way they are. Like he don't believe in like taboos. Like in things that we need to hide. No, he says the things like they are, and I think that is important.
Very good. Number 4.
I think it can be useful if you know who you're showing it to, because it's like a way of talking. You are not gonna be, you're not gonna talk in a certain way when you're talking to your parents,
Exactly.
and it's different when you talk to your friends or
Sure.
something like that. So it's important to take into account who you're showing the video.
And also, by the way, because I know you girls, and I would never do this like the first week that we meet, and I start doing this without no like guidance, it would not be logical, no? So yes, I agree there. Anyone else? Or did I interrupt you, Juliman? Good. Okay. As a teacher, I give you variety. Serious things, not that serious, formal, informal. I think that's our job, to offer you a bunch of opportunities, and it's up to you to take what you want. And let's go now back to that page. And of course, one very short video, my platonic love, final analysis. It's always good to watch. YouTube it.
Bernard is in exile, the savage is dead, and in spite of their best efforts, nothing in the society of Brave New World remotely changed. So why am I sounding so upbeat? I'll give you the scoop next.
The school.
Here's what I've come to realize about dystopian novels, because I've read a lot of them recently. I've realized that in dystopian novels, the characters suffer so you don't have to. Their suffering and their deaths are horrible, but they aren't gratuitous. And at least they aren't gratuitous if you choose to learn from them. Genetic engineering, rampant consumerism, order at the cost of liberty. So what did Huxley do? He killed off a few characters and hoped you were paying attention. I know, I'm being a little flip at the risk of being shocking, because I want you to remember the Savage and Lenina and Bernard and Helmholtz. I want you to do everything you can to make sure their story doesn't become ours. I want you to face the world's problems instead of blocking them out with TV or any other kind of drug. I want you to know that liberty is worth fighting for. Huxley's book is a strange sort of promise that together we can create a brave new world that's actually worthy such a title.
What say you? 1 minute video. What say you?
I
Val?
don't understand the relation with the title.
Then we should create a brave new world
That's it.
that really corresponds to a brave new world, not like
Not the type of.
Talking about Brave New World, do you remember when we were watching Pink Floyd, in the song there's a reference to a Brave New World?
Yes.
You saw that? Quite interesting. This woman, in 1 minute, says a lot. So I find this very valid, with a little sense of humor. Not vulgar, but with a little sense of humor. It says quite a bit. Then there's another one, which we're not going to see right now. It's about the plot. And here comes maybe the best summary. I'm just going to put 2 minutes, play 2 minutes of it, okay? Because it's 10 minutes 22. And I want to go to the second part of the activity, which is the discussion, the most interesting part, hopefully. But I want, now this is a very formal video, but very, very detailed. So it's clear. So once you finish the book, and then you see this, it's valid as an instrument. So let's just watch it. Spark notes.
Brave New Worlds is about a futuristic society that has tried to create a perfect community where everyone is happy. They use science to mass produce people and condition them to do and want only the things they're supposed to. But in doing that, they take away freedoms, like the freedom to think for oneself. The few characters we see who do think for themselves aren't happy. So the novel poses a question. Is it better to be happy or free? The book starts with the director of the Central London Hatching and Conditioning Center explaining to a group of students how they create people, since women don't actually get pregnant anymore. Eggs are fertilized and then undergo a process that causes the fertilized eggs to divide. They can get up to 96 identical twins from a single fertilized egg this way. The director brings the group into one of the conditioning rooms. Nurses lay out flowers and books and then bring in a group of babies. Then they shock the babies through an electrified strip in the floor. Over time, the babies will learn to instinctively dislike books and nature. These babies are deltas, one of the society's lower castes, and the lower castes perform non-intellectual jobs, like factory work. By conditioning the delta babies to hate books, the society ensures that they won't ever have any desire for them, and by conditioning them to hate flowers and nature, they'll want to stay near their work in the cities. They condition all the castes this way, according to what their role will be in the community. The group continues into an outdoor garden, where several hundred naked children are engaged in erotic play. This play conditions the children to grow up feeling comfortable being sexually promiscuous. The group runs into Mustafa Mon, a very powerful man and one of the 10 world controllers. He tells them what it was like in the past, when mothers gave birth to children and people grew up in families, and adults still paired off into monogamous couples. Everyone is really grossed out by the idea of mothers and families. The story cuts to Lenina and Bernard. Bernard is a psychologist. Even though he's a member of the highest caste, he feels like an outsider, because he's smaller and looks different than most men in his caste. He likes Lenina, but it bothers him that she acts like everyone else. He and Lenina are planning a trip to a savage reservation in New Mexico, but tonight she has a date with Henry Foster. Lenina leaves for her date, and a man named Benito Hoover walks over and talks about how attractive Lenina is. Bernard gets annoyed, so Benito offers him Soma, which is a drug that everyone takes to feel happy and kind of stoned. Bernard just turns and walks away. Bernard picks up his friend, Helmholtz Watson. Helmholtz feels he has something important inside him that he wants to let out through his writing, but he doesn't know what it is or how to write it. Bernard and Helmholtz both feel like they're different. This shared sense of being different creates a bond between them. That night, Bernard attends Solidarity Service, which is kind of like church. All the people sing hymns together and praise their prophet and await the coming of a greater being. The prophet they're praising is Henry Ford, who introduced the assembly line and revolutionized mass production. And they all take Soma to feel like they're dissolving into one unified whole. Finally, they break out into dance, then dim the lights and have an orgy, while a voice says a refrain that begins with the phrase, orgy porgy. Lenina remembers the...
Okay, we only saw 3 minutes, it's 10 minutes, 22 seconds, very complete. It's very good. All valid if you read, so go for it. I think you got the idea now, so finish the book if you haven't. See all this material, read the documents. We're going to do a little of this today, and then we're going to have one class next week, but then I think I exaggerated. And it will take us maybe the whole year, so no way. But
What's that?
I will show you right now. That's our last part of the class, which we have 15 minutes, so let's take advantage. Let's see. Let's open this. Okay, you see it well? Yeah. Again, no plagiarism involved. I adapted it from Shmoo and took like some of the most important things that I found there that kind of like summarize the most important themes of the book. And I also took some quotes from the book and organized it for you too as a study guide. Simply because, of course, the final test will be very focused on Brave New World among a few other things. And this is a way of study for the test, but who cares about tests? Simply, it's interesting and it's worth to improve your English. So let's go to the first one. Let's talk. One of the important themes of Brave New World is science, and this is a quote related to science. I need a volunteer to read this. Can I what? Come, baby. Yeah, please. Stay there. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, better. Okay, please. you stay there and handle it?
Yes, reducing the number of resolutions.
Okay, sorry. Let's listen to Ms. Perez. Go for it.
Reducing the number of revolutions per liter. Mr. Foster explained. The surrogate goes round slower, therefore passes through the long and longer intervals, therefore gives the embryo less oxygen. Nothing like oxygen storage for shortage for keeping an embryo below
Embryo. You can use your gadgets too. It's there in case.
below par. Again, the rubber his hands.
You rub.
He rubbed his hands.
Yeah, you have it on your cell phones you can use or computers. Okay, that was a quote. The next quote, please. Yeah, continue. Yeah, better, baby.
The lower the cast, said Mr. Foster, the shorter the oxygen. The first organ affected was the brain. After that, the skeleton. And 70% of normal oxygen you got drafts.
Dwarfs.
Dwarfs. At less than 70 eyeless monsters.
70 when you read that part, thank you, Ms. Perez. And then please read the last part.
Science is being abused here for purpose of harm.
Notice
that this new world hasn't made smarter men to fill the role of alphas. It has simply degraded everyone else.
up to the lower caste, which is
Epsilon.
the epsilon. Exactly. When you were reading that part, what were your feelings about that? I don't know. Rita.
I got really upset. I hate that part.
Why?
My brother was going to be born.
Ooh, sorry. Yes. Give her a hug. No, Rita, yes.
He suffered a little bit of less oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt very bad, really bad.
No, I'm sorry. Can I give you a hug? A fatherly hug? Look. Okay? I'm sorry. Thank you, Natika. Linda. Okay. Anyone else would like to mention something, or we
It's
move on?
very sad that since they were like little babies, like in the yes, in the machine, was like a lot of suffering, like
Sure.
since babies.
So you kind of like felt it affected you as you read? 1, 2.
I think that the worst is that they do not have a choice. It's not like if they are all born the same and then they choose if they can be better or not. But from the start, they are already conditioned to be sick, to be bad, to be lower.
Exactly.
So they are like vulnerable and they should not be treated like that.
I think Huxley enjoyed it. I don't know. I think he was keen. What I've consulted, he comes from a very complicated family, and I think he really believed in selective genetic engineering and all that. No? Number 2
Well,
first, and then 3, 4.
I wanted to say the same that Cami, but I think that the worst part is that they can do nothing, that they are like incapable of reacting or doing something because they are your baby. So it's like, I don't know, like sad that they are like obligated to do that. Like,
Sure. 4, 5, quickly, Laurita.
I relate this part a lot with racism, because the thing is that the people who have darker skin they can't choose to have darker skin. There's nothing wrong with having darker skin.
Sure.
And people hate on them because they have darker skin, which is something that is just genetics. And I relate a lot with that, because in this book they don't have a choice if they put more skin in them or if they don't. And the authors just hate on them because they got like the opportunity of being better, but better in the sense of the society that they're in.
Thank you, Laurita, as always.
I
Finish it up.
think that what we do is like we are at that point we are no longer human beings because we are conditioned by some things that are not part of the biology of the natural human being.
Dehumanized.
Yes.
Okay. It affected
We
you.
are yes, at that point we are machines.
Okay. Well said. Can we continue because of time? Now, we're still, that was just the quote, really, wasn't the discussion, although we started the discussion. Another volunteer, please, to read. Go for it. Can you see from, you have it on there. Okay, go.
In science. Science is
This is, look at some interesting words. This is all, I repeat, no plagiarism involved, taken from Shmoop. Subservient, meaning subordinate, and useful. Continue.
to
human nature in the new world. Tools like violent passion, surrogate, and the pregnancy substitute prove that science must cater,
must adapt.
To the needs of the human body because it cannot overcome them.
That's one position, or the other position.
Science trumps human nature in the
Trumps meaning the contrary, it overcomes, outdoes, it surpasses, excels human nature.
Violent passion, surrogate, and the pregnancy substitute prove that science is effectively able to replace all natural functions.
And as I took from the objects that I sent you, the document about the objects, I'm going to repeat myself. It says here that violent passion surrogate, once a month, people are required to go to the conditioning center to have their systems flooded with adrenaline, which provides them with the ration of fear and rage without actually having to act any of it out. And the pregnancy substitute, if you recall from the book, it says here, since there is no live birth or pregnancy, or only decanting, it is suggested that women take a pregnancy substitute which lasts several months. That procedure is not really described in detail in the book, but it's compulsory at the age of 21. And some girls, I think, at the age of 17 or 19 took it. Please continue.
Mustafa reminds John, Bernard, and Humboldt that science is dangerous and needs to be muscled, but also that it's useful if harnessed properly.
Harness meaning control. Muscle, like a muscle, like restraint, what they put on a dog's mouth. That's a muscle. Continue.
Do the benefits of science outweigh the drawbacks in breaking the world?
First question that I want you to analyze. Do the benefits of science outweigh the drawbacks in breaking the world? And the second question.
Does breaking the world condemn science in our own world?
So take those two questions and start a little interesting discussion for 2-3 minutes in your mini groups. Groups of 2 or 3. So and I want to hear. And then we'll have as a whole. Groups of 2, 3, 4, have that discussion. And work on those 2 questions. One more minute. Okay, Chinitas, because of time, I only have 5 minutes left. At least I would like to hear 3 people. a little general comment on these two questions. Laurita, one, different people. Two, the different people, someone in three, Danielita, anyone else? Number one, quickly.
I want to tell you about the number two, question number two.
Okay.
I think that in breaking law does condemn science in that world, that they do condemn it, because for science to be improved and for progress to be created, people need to criticize what's already established. And these people are machines, so they don't criticize anything that's going on. Exactly. They don't even understand what's going on. They're just like, I have to do this and I have to do that. And if people don't criticize what's already
But they're happy with what they're doing.
yeah, but they are
Then
just
science has something to do with it.
But the thing is that they don't think of new ways of doing stuff or of improving. And if it keeps going like that, then science will get stuck in a point and nothing will go forward progress. Like everything will just stay like that and it will suddenly start to crumble.
Well said. Number two.
We discussed the second question, now the first question, and we said that science needs to be controlled, and because if it's overused, it can be like dangerous, and we can like ultimately kill ourselves with it. So that we have to control it in order to be useful and in order to be positive for us, and also that the book shows us like the negative side of science, because at the end every single person is like a machine and it's not an individual, and we think that it's very like important for people to be their own selves. Because then, yeah.
Well expressed. Very good. And number three, Anelita.
I'm also going to talk about the first one, and I related, when I read that, I related it with the statement that says, I don't know if the translation is like that, but like the end, do not justify.
Justify.
Does not justify.
It's backwards. The means doesn't justify you.
Well, that's being
Yes, doesn't justify.
The means. The means, yes.
So, since I do not
The saying is correct, no? The
Yes.
the end.
the end doesn't.
The means.
Yeah, so I do not agree that neither do I agree
Let me hear Danielita.
like surpassing the limits of the benefits of science and harm.
Julio, thank you, Danielita. Julio. Give me 2 more minutes, patience.
Science is not the only thing that contains our society. I think that the main, the origin of the problem was this in abusing of our capacities. Our mind gave us the power to create science and to create machines to save people, but also guns and
To destroy,
other
to
stuff.
kill.
So I think that the problem isn't really with what we. The problem is science. The problem is us. What
Yeah.
we do with it.
Sure.
So
It's ethics, Mark. Very good. Well said. You girls are amazing. To be continued next week. We'll talk about sex. Okay. So God bless you, girls. We did it Friday.